Namaste. Welcome to day 11 of the 21-day Chakra Healing series. We've just moved into the heart space yesterday, and today we are going to build from that practice, build on that practice, reminding ourselves of love, compassion, tenderness and kindness being the filter for our thoughts, words and actions before they become our external reality. Now when we create the external reality, we are able to create an external reality that nurtures us back with love. When our words and thoughts and actions pass through this filter into the world outside, what we receive is love. And I'm not saying that it's always possible or it always happens. There are times where I need to be fierce. There are times there is a place for, when someone is disregarding your thoughts or opinions, disrespecting you, there is a place to step in and say, I will not stand for this. But even when we are protecting ourselves, taking care of ourselves, standing for ourselves, drawing safe and healthy boundaries, it can come from a place of grace. So think of it this way. Standing for who you are, believing in yourself, standing for what you think is the truth, having the courage to live your life the way you want, but to do all of that with grace. And don't mistake it for weakness. Just because you choose to be tender with those that are hurting you, because you choose to be kind to those who want to harm you or have harmed you, does not make you weak. It makes you graceful. And that's what I like to think of grace as. Already, the practice of gratitude, and I hope that each one of you is inculcating some form of a gratitude practice in your life, because its biological benefits, its somatic, emotional, mental, spiritual benefits, there's enough and more research to prove and stand for having a healthy, beautiful gratitude practice, which you can do your way. But at the same time, grace is the byproduct of gratitude. And when people ask me what grace is, or how are you so graceful, or whenever I'm posed with that question, I think the answer that naturally comes to me is, it's a quality that I choose to live my life by. Like I said, I'm not always nice. It's a journey. I have to be honest and practical. There are times where I'm very mean and I question myself and I'm like, Meher, you worked on that, so why are you regressing? And I realized that coming out of those patterns, of those unconscious behaviors, isn't as easy. But each time you come to that realization, but with the element of grace, like the visual of a pianist playing a piano, like the visual of a ballerina on stage, like the visual of the rising sun, like the dance of the peacock, is all happening with grace, which instantly opens your heart. When you see you've had a hot summer and you suddenly see the first rain of monsoon come, it opens your heart. When you see the plant that you've been growing in your balcony, there's a tiny little bud of a flower that opens up one morning, it opens your heart. When you see a dancer making a movement that she's so immersed in, feeling the music, it opens your heart. When you hear those notes on a piano and a melody that can touch you and feel you in many parts, the gateway is the heart and it opens you. So today, what we're going to do is an embodied practice of grace. And you may not come from a background of dance. All the better. Because when we are conditioned to be graceful, it can kind of become a mask. I would know. Because there are times internally, I'm not representing grace. But externally, I'm able to show it. And that very often makes me question my own authenticity. And I think a lot of the healing work is to go into that self-questioning of, is this authentic? Do I really feel this? Am I really this? Am I practicing what I preach? And like I said, it's a journey. It's a journey. So what we're going to do is, and this is just movement based, I want you to think of and visualize anything that comes to your mind as a visual when you think of the word grace. Okay? So it could be the coming of the sun. What movements would come out of your body to depict the rising sun? You know, the subject matter of grace is so widely used in any dance in the world, where you talk about, the sun, where these subjects of nature become a part of your self-expression. So now thinking of it like that, thinking of it as the dance of grace. Okay? So the dance of grace. And what comes to your mind when you think of grace? Maybe it's a swan. Maybe it's, like I said, it's the sun, or it's the clouds, or it's the rain. Now, how can you draw a storyline, a mental storyline, and move in space, but bringing grace into every action? So this is really what we want to think about. How can we bring grace into every action? How do you bring that love, that compassion, that tenderness into every movement? So for example, if you're thinking about the rain, I want you to simply think about the grace of the dance of the rain. What it feels like. What does it feel like? So this is your dance. It is your dance. I'm going to move in space and dance my dance of grace, thinking about what I think of. Maybe you think of a person, or the way a certain person walks, or the way a certain person speaks. Whatever comes to your mind when you think about the word grace, and you want to dance that dance. So you could move from one subject to the other, but really becoming aware of the grace within your movement. So let's try. So for me, I find rainbows really graceful. This is where the beauty of dance emerges. And you don't need to be a dancer to dance the dance of grace. All you need to do is to embody the grace. I love the feeling of going from one part of the color stream in the rainbow to the other part coming in from the other side. I do feel like a peacock is graceful. comes to your mind when you think about grace? And how can you depict this in movement? The majestic mountains, which are so graceful. Being with that grace. It's not about beauty or a certain type of conditioned idea of beauty. It's about the grace, which is the process. Beauty tends to become the outcome when grace is the process. Small little mountains, and the way that the river flows, and the way that it flows, moves around the little pebbles. Blossoming of a flower. Just really embodying that experience. What would the flower feel like? What does the river feel like? What does the peacock feel like? So when the flower starts to lift up, but through grace, towards the sun. The walk of a queen. The walk of a goddess. What does that walk look like? To embody the dance of grace, you don't have to be a dancer. You simply have to come into the character by bringing to mind all the memories, concepts, ideas that you associate with grace. Where have you seen grace happen? Where have you seen grace take form, take shape, take life? And bring that into your expression. And the outcome most naturally will be beauty. It's almost as if they're in a deep relationship with each other. Grace is the expression, the way to get there, and beauty is the place, its ultimate form and shape. So just thinking about everything that comes to mind when you think of the word grace and embodying that and doing this activity maybe in nature, that would be wonderful. You'd have the nature inspire you. Maybe you'll see a bird in flight and all of a sudden you feel like the bird. So to really be inspired by that, by the element of grace in nature, in the workings of day-to-day life, and to be able to put that into motion. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.